How's it going, Martians? Welcome back to the report. Hope y'all are having a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. I hope you guys are having a good one. Today, obviously, because I've kind of made this a habit now, we're going to start off with a funny little clip from YouTube or from Twitter. This one was put out by Police Hour yesterday. Some of y'all, again, might have seen it if you're on my Twitter, but if not, enjoy the lulz.
Guys, you can't stay on the green. Can you all go home? Can you all go home, please? It's not a holiday. It's a lockdown, which means you don't just come in and sunbathe. Can you please just leave?
It's the most polite police officer of all time, right? Like, just the most polite. Please go home. It's not a holiday. I love it. I couldn't help but laugh a few times when I saw that. So, the other bit of news that obviously is circulating all over since last night is that the bill for the stimulus bill passed Congress. Now, here's the issue. I cannot find, for the life of me, anyone from Washington saying which bill or they passed and what revisions were made in order, or concessions were made in order for them to pass the bill. So I'm assuming it's CARES because that's the Republicans' package. A lot of people in the community are sharing the Take Responsibility for Workers and Families Act, which is the Democrats' bill, and a lot of people are quoting that one because that's the one that includes the digital dollar. But for now, we don't know which one's passing. We also have another bill we're going to talk about. Actually, it's our first article, and that is a bill specifically dedicated to the digital dollar. And so it's yet to be seen what is going on with, again, which bill is currently actually being enacted. Hopefully we'll know later today. But for the moment, we do know that there's pretty strong consensus that the digital dollar portion of the Workers, or the Take Responsibility for Workers and Families Act, has removed the digital dollar from its act and is instead going about and being a separate act on its own. Somebody on Twitter actually shared, let me see if I got it here. Oh no, I think this is this is the forward article. So I believe there's actually a link in here to the specific act. Oh no, they have a PDF of it here. So anybody that watched Sam I Am's video, let's see if I can get this in a pop out. Anybody who watched Sam I Am's video last night, I guess it was, is probably familiar with basically everything that's in this. It is a little bit revised, a little bit shortened, but essentially the idea is that under this bill, they would introduce a bank, this is now being called the Banking for All Act, in which they would introduce a digital dollar and a digital wallet, which is issued by Federal Reserve and any member bank who they indicate as a member bank. In this clause, it describes how it will be a pass-through digital dollar wallet. The term pass-through digital dollar wallet means getting text here, let me mute my phone. So the term pass-through digital, I literally just muted you. How did you just give me sounds? Sorry about this, guys. We're just going to turn off notifications. Okay. One more time. The term pass-through digital dollar wallet means a digital wallet or account maintained by a member bank on behalf of any person entitling that person to a pro rata share of a pooled reserve balance that the member bank maintains at any Federal Reserve bank. So the idea is the Federal Reserve controls these digital dollars and is going to allot portions of these digital dollars to any member bank. So be that a state bank, national bank, or a private bank such as Bank of America, so on and so forth. So it's I think that because this is being introduced as its own standalone bill, that this again goes further to support the notion that, pardon me, they will not be approving the Take Responsibility for Workers and Families Act, and instead that we're getting the CARES Act, which is again the Republicans' package. They will, instead of giving us $2,000 a month through the crisis, will give us $1,200 a month through the crisis. Basically, everything in it that they give to the citizens is halved, is essentially what we get with CARES. So expect that's what we're really getting is half of what we would have under the ridiculously long name that doesn't have an acronym for it that the Democrats pushed. So we'll see what happens here. Now, I've not dug through this really quick, so I want to check and make sure that they didn't add that they would be pre-funding accounts for those Americans who create this, like they did with the original bill. I'm pretty sure it's not in here, but we will make sure real quick. Yeah, it's not. I don't see anything in here regarding that. So if again we're going for CARES, or we're getting CARES, then expect that you'll be getting $1,200 from your government here in the U.S. or in the U.S. since I'm not there, but as Americans, we'll get $1,200 hopefully within the first week of April, and again in May and throughout the remainder of the crisis. Now, the thing with the CARES Act is its wording is infinitely more confusing than that of the worker, to take responsibility for the Workers Act, in that it doesn't outline the it doesn't outline the restrictions for how long this $1,200 is going to be, dished out. Like, there's not clarity on that at all. So I'm hoping that the final bill, I'm hoping the bill that's circulating around rather is not the actual final bill, because again it's so convoluted in its context and not there's no actual clarity on the terms that it almost seems like it's like, well, whenever we want to. It's not actually like, on the first of the month of every month throughout the remainder of the crisis, like how the workers' bill was worded. So it's very strange. Now, outside of obviously the exciting potential that the U.S. is going to implement a digital dollar and digital wallet, despite the Workers and Families Act being shot down, this to me says that there is a very high potential that we're getting a digital dollar by the end of the year. And this is, by all means, when you go through the actual description of this, it's a CBDC, right? We are all familiar with the nature of CBDCs and the fact that this is issued on a digital ledger, and that it will have, it's just a fiat version, as it's kind of like Tether in the way that it's structured. So the idea is that, since we got this, now we got a digital dollar, and also came out yesterday, China's central banks is one step closer to issuing its digital currency. And we also, so all this news is coming on the tail, the heels of the fact that we also got out of Korea just last week, I think it was, maybe it was even just this weekend, that they're issuing a CBDC this year. So, what was it that Brad Garlinghouse said? I don't have the article up, so I'll just pull it up here. Year of the digital asset, was it? Is that what was this titled again? Is that the title of it? 2020, the year of the digital asset. Does Brad Garlinghouse have an insider or something? I mean, we're told that he's never met with White House officials. You know, he's never met with Donald Trump. So I mean, how would Brad Garlinghouse and those over at Ripple then know that 2020 is going to be the year that the United States and China, you know, that they're going to implement a CBDC and that everybody's going to connect to their digital asset XRP? I mean, they said this in December. They said this before coronavirus was even on anybody's radar. I don't know, guys. I think coronavirus is a hoax and that it's going to make us rich. No, I'm kidding. Obviously not. But just very crazy stuff going on right now in the world. It's absolute insanity out here. It's impossible to follow really what's going on. I think this was the oh no, this was this our no, this was Banking for All. I thought I had the digital or the CARES Act up. I did go over the CARES Act, but I closed it because I don't understand it, to be honest. I can understand the workers take responsibility for workers and families act, but I can't make heads or tails of this the Republican bill. It's all over the place. So I'm not even going to bother with that one. I'm going to read over it a few times and maybe I'll cover it Friday. Hopefully, also by then we'll know for certain the final stipulations involved with it. But into the markets, the Dow Jones opened considerably higher today. It started at 2144 and is down a few hundred, or at least a few hundred points now from its opening, but still up compared to yesterday. So it's doing strong. And again, as I said in my last video, now obviously this is taking place over a much shorter time frame than what I showed on my chart. Obviously before, like if you looked at if you're paying attention to my previous videos and went over the Dow, I basically just like drew it like this. Well, only a little more accurate to the range that we'd go, right? That I was like, well, we're just going to go down, test this, and then we're going to go up to this line, right? It's basically just a check mark. But based upon the speed at which this market seems to be moving, the speed at which it seems to have bottomed and now is rebounding up, I think that we're probably going to be expecting to see it reach the peak of this dead cat bounce around 2600 on the Dow, somewhere around the 8th. We'll see. So about 2 weeks from now, just over 2 weeks from now, rather. Yeah, just over 2 weeks now. So we'll see what happens. But this is obviously, oops, I don't want to move that. This is seeming to play out almost exactly as I was saying it would. I was expecting us obviously to retrace into this red zone a little bit more, but it seems that the market found a seriously strong bottom here. Now, what I will say also is that because we are in an age where we're seeing the Fed now have the ability, or the Treasury now having the ability to just let loose infinite money, and they're buying up the fact that the government is now buying stakes in private companies. This may not actually play out, right? Like this is what happens in a free market where the federal government doesn't just start buying shares of companies and inflating the stock market into infinity and beyond. So we're gonna have to follow the news over the next few days and over the next week really to see really just how far they go with this buyback. So Carl Lewis, who the hell comes up with these names? Dead cat bounce? From my experience, it's a dead cat thud. Oh, it's so dark but so funny. It's so true too. Yeah, right. I don't know, man. It's a funny one though. I mean, we can call it more by its technical name, which is the right shoulder, or the right shoulder. It'd be all right if it was looking at us, it'd be on its left, but it's the right shoulder of the head and shoulders pattern on long term, right? So we'll see how it plays out. But for now, I'm sticking to my guns. I think that this is going to be a bounce from here and to move lower. I think that we're absolutely, especially because the president has begun to, I guess you could say, hype the markets up that this lockdown is only going to last for 2 weeks, when the rest of the world is keeping this going, is announcing that they're extending theirs, right? Like we said in the last stream, it was announced that Malaysia is extending the lockdown by 2 weeks, so for a whole month we'll be on lockdown here. And I expect that after that 2 weeks, they're going to announce another 2 weeks, or they're just going to say a whole month. And then in June, or in May, we'll be let off lockdown, at least until the virus starts to spread again. And it will, because all that the lockdowns are meant to do, all that they effectively do, is flatten the curve so that hospitals do not become overrun at any one point during this crisis. And so that's really all that we can do right now, all that anybody can do. Obviously, the numbers are still going up crazy fast, right? Now, I will say, in Monday's video, I did say that I expect 1 million cases by the end of this week. But considering we've just since Monday only gone up, what, like 100,000? And the active cases have increased by only about like 70 to 80,000. Maybe I revise that and say we'll have like 750,000 by the end of the week. Not a straight cool million by Sunday. Either way, next week will be the milestone where the world hits 1 million. And we are, America, you're still on track to take first place in this race to see who can get the most cases. You're rapidly closing in on Italy. Spain, it's trying to keep up, but aside from today, obviously, because the cases are still low on reporting what's going on, it's still early morning. But Spain, they're trying, but with over 10,000 cases on average in America each day, it's gonna pass Italy soon enough. Especially since good news for Italy. Italy is starting to curve. You can see that this is starting to flatten. And this is exactly why the world is going to lockdown. Because we need this to flatten out. Because and you can see it here more clearly with the actual cases, right? So the cases peaked on the 21st. The new cases peaked on the 21st. And now they're flatlining around 5,000, all right? So this is what we need to see happen in all nations around the world. And we need to see this come down dramatically. For Italy, at least, it needs to come down dramatically so that the rate of new cases and therefore the rate of serious cases that need hospitalization can reduce to a level that is no longer going to be making doctors in Italy make the hard decision about who gets help and who doesn't, aka who lives, who dies. Because obviously that's just an absolute nightmare, I'm sure, for everybody. Or everybody involved in that. And in America, it's looking like this is going to be the case for most Americans. Thankfully, New York has gone like balls to the wall with their lockdown. So hopefully New York. Let's see if they have a specific tracker for New York here. No, they don't. Hopefully, though, what we'll see is that New York, it will start to curve soon. They fully implement the lockdown. What is it now? I think it's been officially a week since they did the full lockdown, maybe 5-6 days. So hopefully within the next week, we will see solid evidence that New York's cases are starting to curve. But again, we'll surpass 1 million before that happens. And something else to keep in mind, obviously, about the cases that we're seeing. We are only, and at least in America, at least in New York, and probably other areas too, we're only going to be seeing this really increase from the cases of individuals who seek hospital care, who feel that they are so ill that they need medical help. And so that's something to keep in mind about the number you're seeing, right? I know that we've we've discussed this a lot, that it's like, yeah, everybody accepts that this number in reality is actually a lot higher than is the official number, right? But again, as I've stressed, since the mortality rate was below 10%, this is the real statistic that matters. How many people recover versus how many people die. How many people are put in the hospital, and how many people they're put into the hospital leave the hospital. Because this is what's really going to reflect the detriment or the extreme case we could face if and when America's hospitals become overwhelmed by this virus, and they will. It's actually guaranteed that the hospitals in America are going to be overwhelmed at this point. America waited way too long to do internal quarantining, right? Like, I think that at this point, everybody can, regardless of your view politically, can say that Trump's decision to close travel into America was a good choice. It's just that on a state level, action was not taken quickly enough to mitigate the spread of the virus, of community spread within America. And so now, obviously, it's there. It doesn't matter if the borders are closed anymore. It's going to continue to spread. So hopefully, the mortality rate, doesn't continue to increase as it has for basically since when when did our peak recovery on the 7th? The 7th was peak recovery rate, and it has declined ever since. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, stay optimistic, stay positive. Humanity will get through this. It might just be a really ugly point in history when we look back in a few years, but we will make it through. Just hopefully with functioning societies still intact, because of the measures that we need to take in order to prevent, hundreds of millions of deaths, as opposed to what's likely to be tens of millions of deaths, even by the restrictions that we have put in place to this point. It's almost assured at this point that at least 10 million people are going to die worldwide from this virus. At this point, it's kind of unavoidable now. But enough depressing crap. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. There is one more piece of depressing news. XRP, fuck you, price. Just screw the price of XRP. Okay? I am so disappointed in this currency's ability to just follow an optimistic trend line, right? So ever since obviously the 22nd here, so literally, like, I think actually right after I did my live stream, maybe not, maybe this occurred. I don't remember this dip being here when I drew this, but when we first talked about this, or when we last talked about this, we hadn't broken this trend line. Well, as I said, if we break this trend line, expect sideways consolidation and expect the potential to see us go back down to, like, well, when I made this, I said this to expect to see us go and test 13 cents. We've held sideways for a few days, so it could still be 13 cents if it falls today, 14 cents, right? At any rate, we're in this sideways consolidation, this elongated, what you might call, come out to the hourly so you can see why I drew that through that line, right? This, what is now, I guess, an elongated symmetrical triangle, right? So we'll see what happens. XRP Florida. XRP is behaving like that flirty chick who doesn't put out. I know, right? Like, that's actually exactly what it's doing right now. It is that tease. It's being that tease, and it's obnoxious. Now, You know, I'd say that we're forming cup and handle, right? But last time I said that we formed a cup and handle, well, look what happened. Like it just fell off a freaking cliff. So you know, I'm not even gonna be like, oh guys, look, we're forming a cup and handle right now on the hourly because, well, obviously XRP gives 0 Fs about forming cups and handles. It's like, here, let's form a cup and a broken handle. And where's another one? I know that we have another one here. Yeah, I think it was this one. Yeah. Let's form a cup, big ass cup too, right? Like this is like a 2-month. This was like almost a half a year long cup. We get a monthly cup and a broken hand, or an attempted monthly handle. It even confirmed, and it's like, nah, just kidding. Like I don't understand. I don't even understand this digital asset market, other than the fact that it's manipulated all hell, guys. The traditional market's tanked, so I guess we can write off the big dump here to the traditional market's tanking back on the 11th, right? But at the end of the day, this will be a safe haven asset for what we're getting ready to face. Yeah, shut him down, Mr. Big. How dare you say those bad words? But yeah, guys, I think there's all adults in the room. I hope that nobody's so sensitive as to be offended by some strong language. But the reality is, what we're witnessing, you know, regardless of if you approve of the stimulus spending or not, or regardless of if it's the Democrats' bill or the Republicans' bill that gets pushed through, we are entering into an age where the amount of dollars in the system is going up exponentially. And I watched this great video, actually. I'm going to go see if I can pull it up, on Real Vision. And I strongly recommend everyone, first off, if you aren't subscribed to Real Vision, go do it. They're some of the most excellent economic and financial talks around on Real Vision. They're absolutely great channel. So go subscribe. And while you're over there, be sure you check out the Fed's losing battle with deflation, because this is going to lay out for you exactly why, you know, I personally support a universal basic income and think that it was inevitable that this was going to happen. Because in order for us to maintain stable prices on goods that we produce, we have to print money. We have to continue to make more money because the cost to make everything in the world continues to go down. And so what the Federal Reserve is actually doing is it's actually fighting against deflation. That's why interest rates are at 0 or negative around the world. And we're not going into hyperinflation. Because technology is driving us into an age of abundance. As pie in the sky and utopian as that sentence may sound to many people, it's the reality of what technology is doing in our world. Think about farming. Just think about food in general, right? 100 years ago, nobody had, well, very few people, the rich farmers, we'll say, had a tractor. And that tractor had a very simple, rudimentary plow that was powered through kinetics. In other words, when its wheels turned, that caused it to make its blades spin, and therefore it could actually take down crops. Now, we have combine tractors and enormous farms that are watered by a machine that rolls up and down the field, no human needed. It sprays pesticide, no human needed. And these things are like half a frickin' mile long. in some cases. Sometimes some of these I think are maybe even bigger than that, bigger than a half a mile. No human need on that farm, and this machine just keeps the crops watered and puts pesticides on the crops. And then they have, and we're moving rapidly towards an age where, now think about that. The farm out there, the farms out in Washington or in the breadbasket in America, these farms that used to be, maybe like 50 to 100 acres owned by a family of farmers per 100 acres, now you have thousands of acres controlled by one company that employs not even that employs maybe 100 farmers to do what 10,000 farmers did back in the 1920s. Okay? And this is unfolding everywhere. In every single aspect of our lives, technology is replacing robots, automated robotics. Artificial intelligence is replacing us, and it's been replacing us on a consistent and ever more rapid rate over the past 100+ years. Ever since the dawn of the first industrial revolution. What do you call a retirement village? 100 acres. But yeah, guys, so the reality is definitely go watch this video. Jeff Booth here in this video, again, it's called The Fed's Losing Battle with Deflation, does a great job of laying this out and laying out exactly how the Fed, no matter what, the Fed can print the dollar into oblivion, and guess what? They're going to lose. The cost of bread is going to go down, not up. The cost of goods that you consume, of consumer goods, is going to continue to depreciate even as the Fed goes further and further into what we view as hyperinflation, because the amount of money in circulation just goes up and up and up and up and up. Now, because of this issue, we have two paths to go as a society. You can either A, just continue to allow all that money that's being printed to go into the hands of the 0.1%, or you can more equitably distribute that increase in value, that increase in available funds across the board to everybody. Now, if you choose path A, where you just care about the rich people, guess what? The political discourse, the heightened social tensions that are being seen not only in America but around the world, they're just going to get worse until revolution. So we're going to go into a revolution, and anybody familiar with revolutions, how they play out? Anybody familiar with the French Revolution, how that worked out for them? They got Napoleon. Anybody familiar with the Russian Revolution after World War II? Or not after World War II, but the Russian Revolution after World War I? They got Stalin. Anybody familiar with so like a lot of people like view revolution in America as a good thing because that's how we made America. But the reality is, typically during a revolution, especially one that's fought internally and not between one body and like a civil war, which is essentially, when we talk about the American Revolution, it was essentially a civil war of American English versus mainland, homeland English. And it became a division of nation. What people are going to try to go for in America is not going to be a division of the nation. You're still going to have the same assholes running for president after the revolution as would run for president prior to. The same kind of asshole, just a different name. They'll probably call themselves by a different party name, but they'll still be the same American exceptionalist, wealth motivated individual that we got right now, because that is the culture of America. So a revolution doesn't fix anything. So we either destroy we either set ourselves back 50 years so that we can have a civil war for lulz, because nothing good's gonna come of it. Nothing productive is gonna come of a civil war, other than delaying our own progress and setting our children and our grandchildren up to having absolute crap lives. Or we move towards a more equitable system that promotes a stable society, which is what we're witnessing the government do. So it's a good thing, in my opinion. It's a good thing what we're witnessing unfold, even though obviously we're getting like kind of shafted, because originally we were being, well, I won't say shafted, because originally we were being offered only $1,000. But I mean, I was getting really excited when I heard that it was moved up to $2,000 a month. So to find out that it's now down to $1,200 a month, I'm kind of like, can we do $1,500? Can we like go smack dab in the middle, like $1,500 a month, like you know? But either way, you know, it's free money. Free money is free money. I'm not going to complain either way. But at any rate, we'll see what happens here. It's nothing else. It's interesting times to be alive, and because the deflation or the printing of centralized currencies, of national currencies, to combat production deflation, or the deflation of costs of produced goods, is going to unintentionally but absolutely drive the price of digital assets through the roof. And anybody that's I know most of y'all in the chat, I recognize almost everybody in the chat by name, so I know most of you were around when I did this video back in, I think, October. Where's that here? Where are we at? Oh yeah, this one. It was 6 months ago now, man. 6 months ago, guys. On September 13th, saying $10,000 is not only possible, it's inevitable. All right? I told you guys this is inevitable. That a $10,000 XRP is inevitable. And it is inevitable for exactly what we're witnessing happening right now. I broke it down right in this section here. You know, you don't even have to watch the beginning where I explain the scarcity of XRP, right? You can jump about 6 minutes into the video and watch from there, where I break down in detail how this all unfolds, why XRP will be $10,000. And because the cost of goods is becoming cheaper and cheaper to produce, your XRP is going to appreciate not only against the dollar, but against the market as a whole, what you can buy with it. And so while you may think that the dollar is, well, XRP is only going to $10,000 because the dollar is hyperinflating. No, the dollar is not hyperinflating. The dollar is staying stagnant in its purchasing power. What's happening is it's losing value against scarce resources such as gold and XRP, and against produced resources such as apples and burgers. And this is going to continue at an ever more exponential rate. And just let that sink in, guys. Look at how crazy this is already, right? 2000, like before really even, like, you could even say before, you can't see it here because of the logo, my old logo, but this line right here is 2008. This is the recession, 2008, 2009, when QE started, right? This is when the monetary base started to become hyperinflated, and it's only gone up more. And guess what? It's only becoming more and more exponential with each passing month now. But that same dollar is going to buy you the same thing. The only thing that's different is how much dollars are in circulation. And this is going to eventually, inevitably, bleed into the crypto market. I mean, the reality is this isn't just going to bleed into in XRP either. It will affect everything. It will affect all fixed supply digital assets, largely equally. So Bitcoin's going up too. If you're in Bitcoin, hey, you're going to get rich on Bitcoin too. You're going to get rich on Ethereum. You're going to get rich on Bitcoin Cash. Hell, if you can find an exchange that sells BitConnect tokens, if they're still out there circulating somewhere, you could probably make a profit off of those BitConnect tokens if you can find an exchange that lets you trade them, because they're fixed supply as well. That is the beauty of this digital asset ecosystem, is that as the national currency, the national fiats continue to try to create the illusion of stable value in the economy, digital assets will continue to appreciate in value, and the cost of your goods against those digital assets will continue to decrease. So DBXRP are the stimulus release checks an act of socialism. I like to call it Americanism, DBXRP. I mean, it can't be socialism if a capitalist like Donald Trump is signing it into law, right? I mean, that don't make sense. A capitalist supporting socialism? What? No way. No way. You're either saying that Donald Trump is a liar, or that universal basic income is anything less than American. Now, the reality, I'm being facetious, obviously. The reality is, though, fun fact for those that don't know, universal basic income, this give everybody in America money for free because they're Americans. I want to make something clear. This was invented, the concept was conceived by Thomas Paine, by a founding father of America, bore the idea of giving money to people simply because they're people. A founding father of America coined that intellectual idea. It didn't exist before him, and it's only been propagated since him. So, no, it's not socialism. It's American. And anybody that tries to tell you otherwise, they don't understand history. They don't understand history, and they don't understand socialism or communism, to be honest. Because that's what everybody really compares it to, is communism. They'll be like, "Oh, you like North Korea? You like Cuba so much? Go and live there." And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe I would go live in Cuba if they actually gave their citizens money just for being citizens of Cuba, but they don't. So that's like the most asinine statement of all time. And in fact, no country in the history of humanity has implemented universal basic income. At most, we've tested it. Like Canada's tested it in a few provinces. The United States tested it in a few cities. There's a few places in Europe that have tested it, like a few different areas in Norway or Sweden, one of the two, I can't remember which. I think it's Sweden. A few places in Sweden, they tested it, but it's never been implemented on a national scale. So to say that it is the policy of any one political group is just asinine. It's just bull crap. It's literally no offense to any conservatives out there, but that's straight up a Fox News talking point. As somebody that watches a lot of Fox News, I can say with absolute dead certainty, anybody that actually believes that, they need to stop only listening to Fox News and open a fucking book. because that's straight up where it came from. Because I listened to Sean Hannity say it for freaking 2-3 years. Almost anytime any kind of stimulus came up, or anytime they talk about about socialism, that's what they go to. Oh, socialism, yeah, just give everybody money, just give everybody stuff for free. No, it's a bottom-up system, not a top-down system. It's like, but that's the thing. That's how politics works, right? You are told by your media what a policy is slanted at, whether it's liberal or conservative, and the reality is, it's neither. It's a economic option, okay? It's not left, it's not right. And when you're sitting here, like when we're printing hundreds of billions and now trillions of dollars continuously and giving that out to people, well, here's the reality. It doesn't matter who you give it to. That's not capitalism. Okay? It's not. It is absolutely 110% not capitalism to go give hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars to private companies or banks. Okay? I'm sorry, it's not. So, and it is indistinguishable, not in the least any different from, instead of giving all that money to the top of the pyramid, you give it to the bottom. The difference being, if you give it to the bottom, suddenly most of the social unrest that you see in America, most of the tensions you see between different ethnic groups and the everybody trying to eat each other's food, the dog-eat-dog nature of American society goes away, and everybody calms the fuck down a lot. Everybody starts appreciating each other a lot more than what goes on right now in American society. And that's just the reality. That's just basics of mindset of scarcity versus mindset of abundance. Like, that's basic psychology. You know, you put like, try putting 5 rats in a cage that only has enough food for 1 rat to survive for longer than a month, and see how long it takes you only have 1 rat left in that cage. Better yet, give all the food to just one of those 5 rats, and make the other rats watch that one eat. And watch how long it takes for those other rats to eat that fat rat. It's literally intrinsic to animal nature that's how things, that is what happens. That's why revolution happens. Because humans, you know, we all like to be treated fairly. I don't think that there's anybody out there that says, no, I like being treated like shit. I mean, there's a few people out there that, you know, they're masochists, right? Like, obviously, they teach their own, you know. But the vast majority of people don't like being treated like second-rate humans, like second-class people. I mean, you can see this reflected even in white Americans, white male Americans. Why? Because even though as white male Americans we are, quote, the majority and the ones who are in power, but the reality is, on a social level, we are the bottom of the food chain because we're privileged. So you don't get a say in social matters because you're white and have a penis. Don't open your mouth, white boy. You don't understand, white boy, because you're a white boy. And so it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. You have in some way experienced it. It doesn't matter what gender you are. In some way, you've experienced it at some point in your life, and you fucking hate it. Everyone does. So the only way we fix it is we start treating each other more equitably, right? XRP Florida. Some men pay women to treat them like second-class citizens or worse. It's too true. It's too true. Yeah, like I said, Carl. Like I said, guys, to each their own. There are masochists out there, right? But by and large, most people don't appreciate it. But yeah, so like it's actually reassuring to me. I know that a lot of people don't like the idea, but to me, what we're seeing is actually reassuring. I think that society is finally just maybe, from the appearance of it, society is finally headed in the right direction. We're finally listening to the smart people in the room instead of this absolute nonsense that we've seen in American politics that has been purely for the benefit of the elites for decades. So we'll see what really plays out over the next few months. We'll see if for all I know, I'm obviously clearly speculating that they're going to this temporary coronavirus relief package where we're all getting $1,200 a month. That this temporary thing is really just boiling a frog without it knowing. That it's cooking us without us knowing that we're cooked to become acceptant of being given money just because we're American citizens. Canada's doing the same exact thing, actually. So a lot of countries are moving to this new bottom-up economy, and for good reason, obviously, as I just spent 20 minutes ranting and laying out. So we'll see if it is really becomes like what is being said as a temporary policy becomes a permanent policy over the next few months or over the next year. I really do expect that it's going to, though, because think of it this way, guys. How is it that they're going to give all of us $1,200 a month, and then we all go get jobs? We're making money we're getting $1,200 a month, plus we have our job, our income from our job. And after so long, most not financially sound people, admittedly, but most people are going to become dependent on that extra $1,200 a month to sustain the lifestyle that they're going to build once they have their new job and this check coming in. And so when that happens, the government's hands are tied. They can't stop it then, because then they'll really have riots. No XRP Florida. It's a one-time check each month throughout the continuation of the outbreak. That's how it's worded in both bills. So it absolutely the only difference between the bills is the Democrats are going to give Americans $2,000. The Republicans are only giving us $1,200. It's the only difference. Well, then the wording is different in that the Republican bill does not set a criteria for it ending like the Democratic bill does. The Democratic bill laid out that FEMA would have the ability to end it only after 2 months, or after a recorded 3-month period where for 2 months jobs were above their what they were prior to the crash, with 2 months of consecutive growth. So I definitely said that awkwardly, so sorry if you didn't understand how I said that. But basically the idea is that there needs to be job growth for 2 months beyond the economy recovering from this crash before FEMA, who under the Democratic bill is in charge of. I'm not sure who's in charge of the funds for the Republican bill, but FEMA would only then be able to revoke the money. But under the Republican bill, you're still getting this every month through the remainder of the crisis, whatever that is technically defined as in the bill. Let's face it, they all right. People too stupid to care themselves. Universal basic income. Let me XRP holder play with the big boys. I mean, yeah, that's the way I see it too. Like as somebody that invests in digital asset, like this is a win-win situation. Not only am I getting free money, but I know where to hedge my money in the case that this does actually cause hyperinflation. So it's like it's win-win for us guys. Jet Digital, that is not clear yet. I don't think that let me go over the bill just to make sure. I don't think the bill actually clarified that. Is it going to load here? I don't have that blocked. Why are you not loading? Did I pass it? No, it's right here. Why are you not showing me the bill? Yeah, I know you're right. Okay. Well, that's weird. Let me try and refresh. We'll hop over here into the bill. And the bill. All right, I guess I will open it this way. Go into history. All right. My computer does not like me apparently. There we go. Good grief. Okay, so let's have a look through. The dollar bill reserved by the benefit of any person for the purpose of holding. So it talks about the fact that member banks will be able to issue these digital wallets. Person pro rata share for any peer reserve bank that the member bank maintains any Federal Reserve Bank term postal retail facility. It means any post office. Okay, I was talking about the post office. That's actually another facility operated by the post office, the primary function of which is to provide retail postal services and does not include a contractor operated facility offering postal service. This is interesting. Office classified station. I don't understand what the postal service has to do with this, but it's reminding me of something to do with XR or with Ripple teaming up with U.S. Postal Service. So I don't understand the language here though, so I'm not gonna linger on it. That's interesting that they even mentioned it though, that they're wrapping the U.S. Postal Service into this as well. Anyways, let's see. Authority and mandate for member banks to maintain. Okay, so that's for the banks. Where do they go for state non-member credit unions? Authority. So I'm not even seeing a section specifically addressing the public. I think this is really just the ability for private and public banks or government banks to issue digital wallets and offer this to their customers. It doesn't seem that this will be forced on Americans legally, but my expectation obviously is that this is going to be a slow transition into it, right? So the idea is that they'll make it available. Anybody who wants to use it, you can go to your local bank, your bank that becomes a member bank of this. You can go to your member bank and get a digital wallet assigned to you and begin transacting in digital dollars. But at least initially, it's probably not going to be like something that's forced down our throat. I hope they hand out Louis Vuitton. We'll see how that plays out. I don't think that luxury goods will become affordable to the average Joe anytime soon. even even post scarcity, because status symbols are like, think about it this way: the cost to produce your Nikes is no different than to produce the off-brand nonsense, $10 shoes you get from Walmart. You're literally just paying for a brand name. That is literally what you're putting your money into. It has nothing to do with quality. Anybody that tells you that the quality of most of these things are better, like, they're out of their fucking mind. Jordans are no higher quality than the tennis shoes I get from Walmart. They just look pretty. That's literally it. You know what I mean? No, I know, bro. I know. I was just laying down for you, but that I don't actually think that name brand things are actually going to become lower value. Is the digital dollar the same as the USD coin? I think yes, digital validator. I think that USD coin is just being retitled as digital dollar, because this is a digital dollar wallet. This is a ledger based. This is a CBDC that they're introducing here. So yeah, it'd be USD coin. Though, isn't USD coin already a thing? Oh yeah, this is not. No. This is some private group that made this, dude. This isn't the Fed. I don't think. Yeah, this is something that's developed by Center. So no, they're totally different, actually. Digital validity. As someone with back issues, I completely disagree, Mr. Martian, but New Balance shoes are far superior to any cheap shoes or Nike or other brand. Well, okay, so New Balance. Is that are those special shoes that are designed specifically for cushioning though? I'm assuming. Yeah, I had Sykes growing up, upside down swoosh. Sykes? I've never even heard of that. So it's like they're Psyches. So they're knockoff Nikes. That's funny. When I went to for my high school senior trip, we went to New York City, and one of my classmates bought a fake Rolex, and everybody's like, you know it's a fake Rolex, right? And he's like, yeah, obviously. It was like $5. They're like, so why did you buy a fake Rolex? And he's like, so I have a story about how I bought a fake Rolex. Yeah, they're doctor recommended, but they are not necessarily designed for people with health issues. Okay. Yeah, so obviously there's going to be specific types of shoes that are different. The U.S. digital is the digital dollar handout by local proctologists. No, Florida, they're not going over my head. I just didn't read that one, bro. I I can't even think of a good tack onto that. It's a bad joke, really. Walmart brand, George. Yeah, I don't even know what brand my shoes are. I just know that I got them at Walmart, and they've lasted me for 3 years now, and they're pretty comfy even still. Let's get back up in the chat, and I'll see some of the comments I missed here. Code word talking about not being a big drinker. Still have rum and rye in my freezer from July. I'm not opposed to a spritzed coffee. Yeah, I'm not. I haven't been big on drinking myself for I gave up drinking 3 years ago, maybe a little more. I've drank a few times since, and it's just been bad. I've literally drank, I think, 3 times maybe 4, maybe like, yeah, I think, well, okay, I've had an alcoholic beverage and then like actually drank like at a party 3 times in the last 3 years, and all 3 times I immediately regretted it. It's just like, nope, I need it. I'm done. So I haven't drank it at all in nearly a year now. When you coming back to San Diego? Jet Digital, kind of depends. Actually, to San Diego, I'm not sure. It'll probably be a long while. At least 7 to 8 months. I'm gonna be headed home in like the latest I'll be back in the States will be like end of July, early August, because I'm gonna be spending time with family. But other than that, I'm pretty I'm pretty stoked to stay or to spend as much time as I can in Malaysia. Honestly, I love it over here. Honestly, it's a beautiful country. People are like pretty freaking cool. Everybody that I've met is like beyond super friendly, and it's like, I just don't like I don't like American what's the term, like social ethics, I guess you'd say. I don't I don't enjoy the energy Americans put into in the environment around them. You know, it's it's hard to explain, but like by and large, we as Americans are very toxic compared to Asians. Now, I will say that there's obviously, or at least Malaysia. I will say though, with a caveat, that they obviously have their issues over here. Racism is actually a pretty serious issue for in Malaysia. Like it's a they're effectively or absolutely governed under Sharia law. Their government is controlled by Muslims, so they definitely are not shy of discriminating against non-Muslims through legislation. So like obviously they have their issues governmentally, but societally as individuals, I've enjoyed engaging with people in Malaysia, just random people in Malaysia, a lot more than I enjoy engaging with random people in America. It's hard to place why, to be honest, but I think it probably is that actually, Tina, that American society is shallow. It's Americans are plastic. You know, a lot of people in America like to talk about how everybody in California is plastic. You know, oh they're all so fake over there, but it's the whole country. Like literally the whole country is that way, and maybe they are that way to a degree over here, and maybe I've just been like lucky in the people that I've met so far, not catching on to like because I was raised in a shallow society, I am shallow in many regards myself, and I engage in the same kind of toxic behavior that most all Americans do without even realizing a lot of times. I've become very aware of it though, being over here, because it becomes very it's become very apparent to me the things that I do that are actually in many ways derogatory, I guess you could say. It's kind of hard thing to explain, but yeah, it's been a very enlightening experience over here, honestly, and it's at least for the time being, I don't see myself wanting to leave Southeast Asia, and there's so much opportunity here too. Even as their economy and the whole world is going to a recession, I feel like Southeast Asia has so much opportunity for growth for me as an individual, but also for their economy over the next like decade, that it's like the best place to be, especially as somebody who's wanting to use a lot of my XRP to become an entrepreneur. Like, this is the place to be for me to make contacts and for me to look to grow a business, because developing nations, like, most of them have peaked. And so in developing nations, you're fighting against a ceiling and against extreme competition from everybody at relatively easily achievable ceiling of expansion. And so it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that I was raised in a shallow upbringing as much as just a shallow community at large. So home life probably not, but school wise, oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Growing up in a town or going to a school where I had less than 100 people in my graduating class. I think we had 72 in our graduating class. Yeah. Everybody's super fake. Even though, like, you have that, like, anybody lives in a small town, you know everybody in your small town. But that just made it that much more obvious how fake most people are. So XRP Florida, I was raised in a shallow grave. So you're a vampire or a zombie? But yeah, good conversation, guys. But we're over an hour long. Obviously, don't want to drag the stream on too long. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Sorry for the late start. I might actually try doing a stream at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'm trying to find out what time frame I stream now, because most people are laid off. I think most people are like waking up a little bit later now. So I feel like 9 a.m. That's probably why I'm not getting a lot of views now, because it's like so early, especially on the East Coast. It's only 6 a.m. when I was streaming. So I think I might start doing streams closer to like noon Eastern Standard. So like 9 a.m. West Coast, to see if more people start tuning into the live streams then. And if that happens, I'll even carry on live streams a little bit longer, so long as we have dialogue going on in the stream. As long as you got a little chatting and giving me stuff to chat with y'all about and being engaging, then I'll continue to engage with y'all a little bit longer. But for now, I am gonna go finish my pizza, because it got here literally 5 minutes before I started the live stream. So I've been kept looking at this whole time like, pizza. So I'll catch up with you guys Friday, unless something really big happens tomorrow. I'll see you guys Friday. Hope you all have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Hope you guys have a good one. And yes, as Carl Lewis said, please do me a serious solid, guys. Before you leave the chat, please hit that like, get that algorithm pumping, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. XRP Florida. I don't know what time Brad streams anymore. Brad's moving his times around, so it like technically my stream that I did Monday conflicted with Brad's stream. So like I don't even know anymore, because people are shifting around. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll check and see on Friday if he's streaming before, or if he has announced a stream before I go live at 12. And if he does, then maybe I'll just go and stream at 1 o'clock instead, and we'll see. But either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.